So yeah, just going to talk a little bit about the innovation that Trainline has been doing, specifically around generative AI. I know you're all sick about hearing about it, but just a few more minutes. Okay, so this is me, I'm Fallon. I do have other shirts, by the way. I just don't wear the same things. I promise I have other shirts. So yeah, I've been an iOS developer for about 8 years now. I previously worked at Canis and Rightmove. Has anyone worked at Canis or Rightmove? No, just me? Cool. Great companies, by the way. But recently, I transitioned from being an iOS developer into the data org in Trainline. So what I'm going to talk about today is we've shipped generative AI features. I'm going to talk a little bit about how Trainline looks at innovation and how we enable it in our mobile apps. So how do you use AI? That was the big question I was talking about in the C-suite of our company around April 2023. ChatGPT had come out the year before. People were getting very excited about this technology, but they didn't know how to apply it to their business. So lots of companies are going through the same sort of cycle at the moment. If you hire management consultants, they'll come in, they'll show you this graph, they'll charge you £1 million, they'll leave. But we're going to keep coming back to this graph because it's very useful to see where we're at as we're going through this story. So in April, we were about here. So we wanted to use AI because we thought it was transformational for personalized products and making our app more useful to our customers. But we didn't have any of the foundations built, and we also didn't really have the talent in the team to learn how to use it. So how do we get from there to at least level 2? So in April of 2023, Trainline held their annual hackathon, and there was obviously lots of ideas that were using generative AI here. I built this project. It's called the Conductor. It had to be a trained team. And what it was conversational AI that you could talk to, you could tell it about your trip, and you could get it to book a train trip for you. Okay, I'll just do the voiceover because I can't hear my own voice over the thing, it's too cringe. So what the Conductor was is a new chatbot that lived inside its Trainline application. Whenever you sent a request to this backend saying what you wanted the model to do, it would then send that off to a large language model, and it would craft like a deep link for you. So what we trained the large language model to do was craft these deep links. So these are what the deep links look like here. You don't really have to see this, but they were formatted as in like you go to Trainline, you have your outbound location, your inbound location, and some date. And that was all the information that we needed to get you to an anytime now ticket. So let's skip forward a bit on this video. But this is what it looked like in the application. So I say hi, and it responds saying, "Hi, I'm the Conductor. I can help you with your train travel. What would you like, or where would you like to go?" So I really wanted to go to, I think it was Glasgow here. Let's see. Yeah, I want to go to Glasgow. I said now. So you can see on the left-hand side that we're just sending this free text to the large language model, and it gives us back this deep link here. So what we did was we gave a bunch of examples of this and taught it how to craft these deep links. And whenever it came back on the screen, that deep link would then take us to the checkout so we could buy it. So very cool. Okay, that's enough of that. So I won the hackathon that year, and then the CTO sent me a message, and I said, "Oh no, I'm in trouble." She asked, "When can we ship it?" So we couldn't ship a chatbot straight away, obviously. We didn't really have the team or the talent to be able to do that. So we only had like 1 or 2 developers who were really interested in this technology. So what we had to do was go on a bit of a fact-finding mission as to like how can we actually use this technology in a safe way and build up our foundations over time to be able to use this technology and not just do what Air Canada did, which was they put out a chatbot that said there was a refund policy which didn't exist and they had to honour it. So we really did not want to do that. So depending on your experience level, this diagram might look familiar to you. A business has lots of little boxes inside of it. So we have legal and privacy and ops and mobile and architecture, design and engineering, finance. All of these boxes have to have someone inside of them that say yes to your idea before you can ship it, especially with new technology. So we had like an AI forum within Trainline that had people from all of these different parts of the organization. We would talk about the ideas and all of the concerns that we would have to figure out before we could ship something. But eventually we did ship something, so we got all of the red boxes to go to green, which is fantastic. Specifically within the engineering org, we had to think about how we lay the foundations for this technology to be used in the future. So you could just call ChatGPT, call it a day, your investors are happy, you're using AI. But really we wanted to do a lot more with this technology. So we took quite a mature look at this and we broke it down into these 3 layers. So there's foundations, and this is the technology that you need to enable your company to use. So we're an AWS company, they provide all of these little boxes within the foundation. So we have a lot of data at Trainline, but how do we actually represent that as knowledge so our large language models can use it? Well, we're using a knowledge graph that we put all of our information in for like terms and conditions, and ticket summaries and things like that. Any of our real-time systems, so anything about like live tracker if you've seen that on the application, or anything that's like real-time updates where your train is. Actually using the Gen AI models ourselves, so obviously we didn't want to host them within our infrastructure, and so we needed to look at what the market was offering. AWS provide a tool called Bedrock that we ended up using, but effectively all of these foundations, we had to figure out how to use these before we ship any product. So then, once you have the foundations, we were talking about, okay, what can you build on top of the foundations, and this is the capabilities. So once you have a generative AI model, you're not done. You need to effectively do something interesting with it. So the first thing that we wanted to do was just use the general training knowledge from the large language model to give us 5 suggestions of things to do at your destination. I'll show a little screenshot of that. But that was one capability. So we now have a capability that, given a location, we can tell you some stuff about that. So that will be used across products all across Trainline. And then once we have the foundations built and we build the capabilities on top of it, then we can build some interesting, cool products for our customers. Today we've shipped 1 Gen AI feature, but we have a whole backlog. There's maybe 60 ideas across the business that people want to start experimenting with. But we weren't there in April 2023. We had to build the foundations first. So we didn't want to ship a chatbot. What did we want to ship? So this is our first feature here. It's called Guidebook. And as I said before, you open Guidebook, you pass the station into a large language model, and it gives you some suggestions of things to do there. So not very ambitious. It's not going to change our customers' lives or anything like that. But it is allowing us to build those foundations and test those in production and figure out the cost of those things and the latency and just the operations behind running a large language model. So how did we build that? You don't really have to read these diagrams here, but the one thing that I think helped speed us up with innovation was we used a lot of existing services within Trainline. So the only new box here is this one on the right here, the Travel Insights API. That was a new API, and we used Bedrock for the first time. So these 2 things are new, but everything else that we used was already existing. So I'll talk a bit about those. So Smart Experience API is it's effectively like a content management system, and the way that you talk to it is through a declarative API like this. So we don't specifically say what we want. We say we have a free text view, and we want the objective of Travel Insights. And we pass some information that will be able to enable that experience. So as I said, this API already existed before, and we were able to reuse that because it's a very flexible declarative API. We didn't have to spend any time in the first couple of months of our team existing, having to build this up. So that was great and helped us to innovate quite quickly. So once we shipped that feature, we did that in 6 weeks, which was really quick for Trainline. I'm not sure how the size of the companies that you work at, but 6 weeks is fairly quick to go from having nothing, not even having a team, to having a team and something shit that's in your customer's hands within 6 weeks. This is fairly fast for us. But we weren't done there. So what we wanted to do was, for this first feature, we just used the large language model. There wasn't anything else that we used on top of that. It was just using the base training knowledge from that, but we wanted to be a bit more ambitious so we could figure out how to use APIs with the large language model in the future. So this prompt here takes in 2 bits of input, a location and a category. And for the location part, what it will do is call the Trainline reference data API, which takes the station name and gives you a latitude and longitude. We then take that latitude and longitude and pass it into Apple Maps, and then we use an API there that will be able to use them that long in a category, give you back some results. So what we built was an enhancement on that first feature, which is this new part here, the filters. So if you want coffee shops in Brighton, you'll be able to do that through this. So how the hell does a large language model do that? So this is what we were innovating with. You may or may not have heard about agents. So effectively what an agent is a large language model that's taught to run in a loop, and you give it access to things called tools, which can be APIs or databases or things like that. So you don't have to be able to read this, but you can see the prompt went from a very small one to a very, very large one. And there's some extra rules in here about saying, okay, you need to continue on in this loop. Here are the APIs that you have available to you. Here is how you format the response. And LangChain will just continually go in a loop until it can get its answer. So the first bit down here is, okay, I need to get the latitude and longitude, so I can then pass that to the tool to be able to get my answer there. So we have shipped that feature now to 50% of our customers. You may be able to see it if you download the Trainline application and get into the A/B test. So we're unfortunately doing the things to our customers where we're making them guinea pigs. Sorry about that, Deepak. But that has been like an enhancement. So we started off not knowing anything. We didn't know how to use large language models at all. And we then shipped the feature within 6 weeks. And we are continually expanding the kind of use cases there. We're done with Guidebook now. We think we've taken our learnings from that, so we're moving on to what we're going to do next. As I said before, we do actually think this technology has a lot of benefits for our customers. It's not going to be a silver bullet and make Trainline an amazing experience if we can't get you from A to B, but it can help you along the way in all of those bits of the journey. So, for example, like one of the things we're really interested in using it for is summarization. So we have really complicated ticket conditions. There's a kind of like a meme within Trainline called super off peak, and no one knows what this means. You'll get it on your ticket sometime, but really it's very complicated to understand. I think you get like a $5 off if there's a full moon or something. They're really arcane rules. So we want to summarize that and put it on the screen for our customers in a condensed way, so they don't have to read through all of that. Other things that we're really interested in is like natural language interfaces, and I'll show you like maybe what that future looks like in a little video in a second. But another thing that we can use the natural language properties of the large language model to do is translation. So we have disruption messages. If you are like a French user and you come to the UK and you use Trainline for the first time, you open Live Tracker and there's a message in there in English that says, the escalator is out of service. But if you don't speak English, it's useless to you. But we can't, those messages they come from industry in real time, so we can't translate them ahead of time. But we can get a large language model to effectively translate that stuff for us, and we've done some effective baseline testing on that, and the performance is really, really good with it, so we may ship that soon. Other things around sentiment analysis, so whenever a customer is talking to us, can we detect if they're really frustrated and about to drop out of the flow, or if they're about to stop using our product. So we're going to get large language models to look at some of the customer support messages that come in and give us a little readout for our customer agents there as well. And another thing that we're really interested in is generative UX. So showing the right thing at the right time. So taking clickstream data, can we figure out what this customer is actually trying to look for? So for example, if they're asking a question about things to do around the station, maybe a map is the right thing to show at that time. If they're trying to get some help with customer support, and we can figure that out from their clickstream, maybe a chat message where they can sort of explain their problem, that might be the right interface to show at that time. So what does that look like? Here's a little video. Please don't screenshot this because I'm not supposed to share it, but this may be a feature that we ship in the future. So yes, it is a chatbot. Is it playing? There we go. Yes, it is a chatbot, but a lot of the stuff that's going on behind the scenes is the large language model actually making API calls and then the right interface coming up at the right time. So for example, if you wanted to do a rebooking, it's not helpful to do that over text, but it is quite helpful to do with that little booking UX. So that's what we mean by generative UI. So, generative UI and UX. So there you go. Is there any more? Would you like a refund? Oh, you're going to get a refund. Fantastic. There we go. But yeah, the information that we took from the Guidebook Filters project about how you can get a large language model to work in that loop and to use all of these tools, all of that is feeding back into this more ambitious project here. So if a customer asks about a refund, you need to get the eligibility for that to find out how much money they're going to get. And then kind of just showing the right user interface for that. So we're really not trying to just shove a chatbot in people's faces. It's if it's the right interface to show at that time. We can for the first time with Generative AI. And Gen AI models do that, which we've not been able to do before. Yeah, don't tell anyone about that one. Yeah, so just to summarize, so the things that we learned from going on this journey was that we had a biased action, which we wanted to ship something really quick because that's the fastest way to learn. Like, what are your customers doing with your product? The best way to figure that out is to just ship something, look at the metrics, track it back, see if they like it, see if they don't. And you'll learn things that you don't understand whenever you're just working in a bubble with your product managers and your developers. Reuse what you can. So as I said, we used a lot of the existing APIs in Trainline, which was really helpful because it meant that we didn't have to spend time working on that. So that really helped us innovate a lot quicker. You may not be so lucky in your company, it depends how good your backend devs are, but fingers crossed. One really important thing was ensuring that you could get insight on this. So we A/B tested our feature, and we also had metrics and everything that the customers doing. So if they opened Guidebook, we got features about that. We also were able to trace back the suggestions that they got, and if they give us feedback on that, we could see, okay, this location is getting really bad results, how do we fix that? Build fantastic flexible foundations. So the services that we have now built to enable this feature, we're going to be reusing that for a lot of the stuff that we do in the future. And T-shaped teams ship fast. So we started this project, we had 2 developers, it was me and a machine learning engineer. And we had to make changes in a C# code base, we had to write a new Python service, we also had to write the API, like changes to the Smart Experience API, and we had to do the front end work as well. So if you're looking to do innovation in your company, really look for those T-shaped developers who will help you do that much faster. Right, that'll be my summary on how Trainline innovates. Thanks for listening, and I'll take any questions if anyone has any. And there's a plug for my website as well. QR code, scan it and see what it is.